Hello fellow woodworkers, welcome to this week's edition of the Garage Workshop, and in this week's video we're going to be checking out the Evolution R185CCSX Plus circular saw. Oh, and the rail guides that come with it. Now we can roll the intro. So fellow woodworkers, believe it or not, and this is not something I thought I would ever say, this unit was actually sent to me for evaluation by Evolution. So I should say up front, I'm not being paid to do this review, and I've made it very clear to them that the review is going to be my typical honest review. If I like the product, I'll say, and if I don't like the product, then I'll say. They were very happy with that. So big thanks to Tom and the guys at Evolution for sending me this saw. Now, the reason why I wanted to look at this particular saw is, as you'll know, I'm in love with my Parkside saw. I think it's absolutely brilliant, but my current circular saw, which is an old skill saw, it's just a really basic entry-level one, just does not have the finesse and it doesn't have the features that I'm after. So after my recent experiences with Evolution through my Rage 5S table saw, I reached out and said, I've got a YouTube channel, it'd be absolutely fantastic if I could review one of your products, and here we are. So the first thing we do, as with all of my videos, is let's open the boxes and see what's inside. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with this product by Evolution, it is a 1600 watt circular saw. It takes a 185 mil blade, and obviously being an Evolution product, it takes the TCT multi-material blades. One of the things about Evolution, which I like, and this came with both the table saw that I have and the miter saw, is the blades will cut a range of materials all the way through woods to metals, aluminium, steels. They're fantastic blades. They're supposed to be guaranteed for life. This machine in particular has got a 64 mil cut depth and can cut to a 45-degree sort of beveled angle. It's also got an LED light, and it weighs apparently 5.1 kilograms, not kilometers. And having picked it up, I can certainly vouch for the fact it's about that way. It comes with a carry case, and most importantly, it's got a 4 meter, yes, you heard that right, a 4 meter power cord. So let's open up the box and look at the actual unit that's inside. Now, as I mentioned, circular saw is something that I've been in the market for, because my circular saw is very entry level. It doesn't have the sort of standard features that you get from a more well, certainly a more expensive saw. This one retails a little over £100. I'll put the exact cost on the screen, but that is the pack that includes this set of rails, which we'll talk about in a minute. So that is the, presume that is the storage case. And we've got a bog standard set of instructions, quite meaty, this set of instructions. And actually, the operating instructions on the front cover 4 different types of the saw. In this R185 range, I think there are 3 different types of saw in it: the CCS, the CCSX, and the CCSX Plus, and that's the one that I've got here. Really simple instructions, really nicely detailed actually. There's a lot in there, and in a few different languages. And as I've mentioned on a lot of my 10-minute tool reviews, I do read the instructions, not always when I'm opening the products, but I do read it. Next, we've got the fence. Really standard fence. Actually feels quite nice. The fence I've got on my other, some of my other products, particularly the fence I've got on my Parkside products, they're not great, to be honest, but that's quite nice. And then we have the adapter, and if you've seen my shop vac video, I'll put a link in the description, which was also an Evolution one. I did complain about the fact it did not have an adapter, and some people quite kindly said, well, have you checked the box? I have. I ended up buying 2 of them, and I'll put a link in. I think it was from Power Tool World. I bought 2 of their adapters, which fit perfectly with the Evolution vac, and it also fits my Evolution Rage 5 table saw, and it fits my mitre saw. And they weren't that much money. I think it was $4.99 for two, maybe, so well worth a look. Let's take off the polystyrene. Even the polystyrene's quite strong. And there is the unit. Let's get it out. As I said, blades underneath it. It is a 185mm blade, and with all Evolution blades, as I said, there's quite a uniqueness to the blades. They literally will cut anything, and I can vouch for that, because on my table saw, when I had this blade installed, I did change it, I should say, because I prefer to have a blade with a few more teeth on it. But when I had this blade on my Rage 5 table saw, and when I've had it in my mitre saw, it's really good at cutting through wood. But the good thing is, if you're cutting through wood, particularly if you're using older pallets or things like that that have got hidden nails in them, or nails that are in the middle, if you catch one with a blade, you've got the confidence of knowing that it's not going to knack your blade, and actually the blade has got enough sort of guts to get through it. So that's a key thing. The only thing I don't like about these blades, obviously due to their nature, is I would prefer them to have a few more teeth on them, because for me, the less teeth, the more chance you've got of it, not cutting as accurately. As it says, it's a 185mm blade. It says it can cut through mild steel, aluminium, wood and plastic, and it's the blade comes obviously not installed. It's a basic bog standard Evolution blade. Here is the actual unit itself. Good, nice size unit. Not too heavy. I'm actually surprised it is as heavy as they say it is, because it certainly doesn't feel that heavy. As you can see there, the full extent of the cut depth. There's lots of ways of adjusting this circular saw to change the depth. Really good molded handles. It actually feels like a nice unit. A lot of it is obviously made of plastic, but there's quite a few aluminium parts to it too, and it feels really similar in lots of ways to my Parkside track saw. And I think effectively, if you've got a nicer blade for this, that is effectively what this is. And I'll be interested to see what the quality of cuts are available when I use it, how good they are. So that's the unit. Before we get testing it, I just want to have a look in this other box and check out what's in the rail set. So as I mentioned, this saw does come with a rail set, and to be honest, I've read quite a lot about Evolution rails and how they can be used with other manufacturers' saw. And actually there's quite an interesting video on YouTube of somebody who puts their Parkside table saw through an Evolution Rage 5S table saw and cuts off part of the rail, and then the Parkside saw works with a range of other different rails, including the Evolution one. I think you can have a few guts to do that. But let's have a look at what's in this box. As I said, it does come with this rail set, this particular package, but there are lots of different variations of buying this kit. You can just buy the saw on its own. Some just come with a separate standard set of rails. This one, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure what's in this box, but I've got a feeling it might be the dual rail set. And straight off, well, if I can open the cardboard box, there we are. Straight off, those rails look really nice. Let me just get to the bottom. So they come with a carrying case, which is actually handier than I gave it credit for. It's certainly something that I wish I had with my current ones. Inside, halfway along, we've got a little pouch, and inside that pouch we've got the Evolution rail circular saw track is what it really is. Instructions, and inside the cardboard box we've got these. Now, I don't own an expensive plunge saw. I think you all know where I stand on plunge saws. I've got a Parkside one, which I love. The Parkside one comes with a very basic set of rails, 2 rails that join with a joining bar, which is fine. But this Evolution one comes with its own clamps. Now, they look pretty good quality, I have to say. Now, for my one, I went out and actually bought some Festool ones that were on sale in Screwfix. I want to say they were like £15 down from 22 or something. But Evolution supply their own ones. I mean, they're not brilliant. Plasticky handle, but not bad, and certainly not bad for free. And again, it's great to have them in the box where they come with it straight off. So that's the case. And actually, inside the box, we have got... Is that just an empty box? It is. Evolution supply you with 2 empty boxes to help prop up the rail. Now, these rails weigh an absolute ton. They are much, much heavier than the rail set that I've got for my Parkside saw, and they are really lovely. Really nice quality. The rubber feels really nice quality, and actually this set is 2 full-size rails, so that would easily be enough to cut pretty much every length, certainly all the length of sheet materials that you're going to want to cut. They feel really, really nice quality actually. They're also embossed with the Evolution logo on them, but they do feel really, really nice quality, and they come with joining bars, a set of 2 joining bars. My Parkside one, and actually the McAllister one, which I also got, which I have at work, come with 1 bar, and it is a bit flimsy and it's quite hard to keep the 2 edges together. They've also got a white ribbon strip, which again is quite unique. So 2 really nice quality rails there. Impressed. I'm impressed with those rails, definitely. And of course the carry case. I'll just check there's nothing else in the box. It does not appear so. So let's move that out of the way. So, a set of 2 rails and the case and the clamps that go with it. So all of that comes in the box as part of the set. Hopefully, as you can see from this little look around, it is a really nicely manufactured unit. The materials feel good, and it actually feels sort of quite sturdy in your hand, not like cheaper tools that you can buy. Okay, so if we just have a look at the saw, setting it up is really easy. Evolution have put in a little Allen key there for doing the blade, which actually goes through the saw. It's a really nice way of just sort of hiding the essential tools. They actually do the same on the miter saw that I've got with them. It's got the same sort of thing. So to place the blade is the same as anything else. You just put the Allen key in. There's a top lock on the top which you use to sort of lock the arbor, and you just turn until you feel it lock. There it is, and then you unscrew it, place the blade in very handily, especially for people like me. There is a little arrow on the blade which tells you the direction that the blade needs to go in, and there's also an arrow on the sort of safety cover of the saw which tells you which direction the blade needs to go as well, which is all very handy. So just pop the blade in, put the top back on, and I have to say it does feel quite substantial. Like I said, I've got access to a McAllister saw, and I never really feel that's quite It just doesn't feel very substantial. Obviously the Parkside one isn't either, but it is what you get. You know, you get what you pay for. So then just a case of tightening it up. Obviously if you go the right way, helps. And there, the lock is just engaged and the blade is nice and tightly in there. So I can put the Allen key back, which goes in there. There's even a little space for the sort of head of the Allen key to go, which is quite nice. So the saw's ready to go in terms of the blade being inside it. Now, you also get this little pack with it. And I mentioned in my recent video on the Evolution vac that I didn't get an adapter inside the shop vac, and I know some people mentioned in the comments it was still in the box. Obviously it wasn't, I had looked. And inside this little accessory pack that you get with the saw, you get one of their adapters. These are really nice quality actually. They're not plastic, they're like hardened sort of rubbered plastic, if you see what I mean. They're not sort of brittle. And actually I bought a couple of these from the Power Tools website, and they're good, but they're very rubbery and they're a bit too supple. So you've got one there which is for the dust extraction, which is what this is. So there's the two little screws on there, and on the back of the saw here you've got space for the dust extraction. That's where it connects. So it sits on like that. And when it does, it actually looks like part of the design of the sort of blade covering. You wouldn't know that it wasn't on there. So just a case of popping those two screws on, which I'll do now, and then we'll give it a little bit of a sound test because I'm really interested to see what the sound reading of this is, and then we'll just test it on a couple of pieces of material and see how it goes. Okay, so I've got the saw set up. I've got my sound meter ready, so I'm just going to run the saw and we'll see what the sound is like. Okay, so looking at the sound there, it never got above 88. It started at about 84, but it never got about 88, which is a little bit louder than they say is good for sort of human hearing. But whenever you're using a saw like this anyway, you probably always wear ear defenders or ear protection. But and I was wearing them then, but it was very smooth. Just one thing I did pick up on. Unlike other Evolution tools, my other Evolution tools have a sort of delayed start where they sort of speed up to the point they're at, like my table saw, my miter saw. You don't just press the trigger and it's instant action. It sort of takes a second or two to build up. But this doesn't have that. I don't know if you could pick it up on the sound, but literally the minute that I turned it on, it was absolutely full blast. So that's just something to know. It felt quite powerful in the hand. But of course, the only way of really knowing how powerful it is to give it a test. So what we're going to do now, I've got a piece of 12mm plywood. I've actually scavenged from a skip, and you'll see when you look at it. And I want to give that, cut that down to store it in the workshop because it's a bit too big. So let's give the miter saw its first, the circular saw its first run out by taking it through there. Okay, so that was the first cut. I should have mentioned as well, I'd not done a pre-cut to take the edge of the strip off. I wanted to do that all in one. And as you can see, it's a really sharp cut all the way along. Really pleased with that. One tiny little burn there you'll see on the, you will have seen on the video, it got stuck while I changed position. But really nice. And interestingly as well, this is the strip. Now I don't know what your experiences have been like, but when I did this before with both the McAllister saw, that I had and also my Parkside saw, this is what I got. Probably 10,000 pieces like this. This has actually come off, or a lot of it has come off in one chunk of rubber, which I'm actually really impressed with. The quality of the cut is really good. It's very, very straight. As you can see on the bottom, there's virtually no tear out. It is literally as good a cut as I get from my Parkside plunge saw, and you all know how much from my previous videos I like that. So super, super impressed by that. I mean, that is one clean cut. And when you look at reviews of this product, a lot of people focus on the fact that this predominantly is sold on the feature of having the blade and cutting through different materials. But I don't know about you, but it's not often I'm cutting a piece of metal or something like that and I think, oh, I'll reach for my circular saw. Most of the time, this circular saw for me is going to be used to cut wood. So on its first test, really impressed. Now I've got a couple of thicker pieces. I want to see how it works through some thicker pieces of plywood and MDF, but it's definitely passed its first test for me. Yeah, highly impressed with that. Okay, so you will have just seen I put the saw through its paces. I started off with the 12mm plywood, and I then went on to the 18mm plywood, and as you'll have seen from the video, it went through it like it wasn't there. I then switched over to this piece of worktop, and it cut it really cleanly. The first sort of straight cut, really clean cut across the top, and then I've just done a 45-degree angled cut. Hopefully you can see that, and it's absolutely perfect. The cut on this side, the sort of formicad side, is absolutely perfect. Really straight, really true, no tear out, nothing. And actually on the other side of the cut, there is one slight ridge, but that was made from the first time. Now, I could carry on and show you me cutting loads of different materials, thick and thin, metal, all those sorts of things, plastic, but there's other videos on YouTube that do that. What I wanted to do in this video is try and show you what this product would be like if you were using it for wood, which is predominantly, let's face it, what you're going to use this for most of the time. So I've had a good old play around now, and I'm ready to give my final conclusion on this product. I have to say, I'm really impressed so far. Okay, so what are my final thoughts on the Evolution R185CCSX Plus? Well, I have to say, coming into this, I really didn't sort of know what to expect. Obviously, I knew it was a circular saw, but I don't think I expected performance that would equal to or be better than my Parkside plunge saw, and it is definitely that. It's a much easier unit to use. The accuracy of the cuts is equally as good as my Parkside plunge saw, and the other thing I like about it is it just feels a little bit gutsier than my Parkside saw. And obviously I've only got Parkside, I can't compare it to a Festool or a DeWalt or a Makita, but for me this would do everything that my plunge saw does. And of course It has the ability to do other things like the cutting of the metal, the cutting of the plastic, those sort of things. It's really easy to use, and by that I mean everything is exactly where you would want it to be. The way that you change the angle is very simple. There's just two flick tabs, one at the front, one lever at the front, and a tab at the back where you can adjust the angle. In terms of adjusting the depth, again, really, really straightforward. It's just a lifting up of a tab and pulling up and down. Can't get any better than that. If you need to move the safety guide, again, another lever, really easy, and they're nice quality plastic. It's not cheap and nasty plastic like you think is going to come away in your hand. The other thing is, I didn't mention earlier on, it's got a couple of guides that you turn to keep it on the track. Now I have to say, they are very, very stiff. I'll give you a close-up of that. Hopefully you can see it, but there's two of them, and the other saw that I've got access to, the McAllister, has a similar sort of thing, but obviously my Parkside plunge saw doesn't, and that's one of the other good things about this saw that I liked. When I was using it on the track, I had complete confidence it wasn't going to move or jiggle, because you can't pull it on and off the track. Once it's on, it's on. The only way it's coming off is if you go all the way through the material and you slide it off the end, or if you retrace the cut and come out. Now, when you use cheaper tools, I don't think you always get those added bits, that being one of them, and I really like that. In terms of the rail feels really nice quality as well, and having the two together obviously and having the double joining bar will make it even easier to use. But the rail fits really, really nicely. It's nice and solid, and it goes very well with the unit. So a lot of really positive things about this circular saw. Now, I don't like absolutely everything, I've got to be honest. One of them is this connector that comes with it. Now, obviously, I know I've got an Evolution shop vac, so it might be different if you've got a different system of dust extraction. But obviously, the shape of this is sort of the other way round to how you would imagine. So the thinner end goes inside the shop vac, which is fine, and then this end goes onto the unit. But I feel it's a little too loose. That I do think there's a little bit too much play in it, and in some of the cuts you might be able to see it on the video. I just got the feeling that some of the finer particles of dust could come out of that. Now, it's easily cured. I can, just put a thin layer of tape or something like that inside it, but actually I would have expected to have had to sort of push that on in the same way that I have to push that in there, if you see what I mean. I don't think that is the best of fits. That's the first thing. The second thing comes back to the start. Now, with a lot of plunge saws and circular saws, even my other circular saw I've got, my skill saw, you have to sort of press a button in, press another button in to get the trigger going. This one you don't. You literally just hold that left button in on the side, pull the trigger, and then you're all good to go. Which might be an advantage, but for me, I do like that, having to slide across to sort of get it. It's an extra layer of safety, and I know for me personally that would be a really important thing, and that's something that is missing. Another thing, again, it might just be me and I might need to read the manual again. The light was on all the time, which is just a bit annoying. Doesn't need to be. There might be a way that you can turn that off though, and I just haven't clocked it. And probably the sort of bigger bugbear of this whole unit, and it's a funny thing to say because if you just buy the saw you won't have this problem, but these clamps that come with the unit, I am not a massive fan of these, I have to be honest. Now, when you look at them, they are very cheaply made, and that's not a criticism. A lot of them are, but hopefully you can see that top bar is not 100% straight. They're quite fiddly. It's got a lock on the side so that when you've got it pushed against the wood, you turn the knob, and all of the knob in all the Evolution tools are always the same. It's always this same knob. It's actually not that easy to turn, and then when it is turned, it's not 100% straight, and this bit, the up and down sort of clampy bit, just feels a bit sort of cheap and nasty. Now, it's great that you get these clamps, don't get me wrong, and it sort of feels a bit weird that I'm criticizing them, because you don't get these in a lot of other products. It's a nice thing that Evolution include them, but I'm just of the camp where if you're going to put something in, don't put something in that's cheap. I mean, I know I've got Festool ones and they are Rolls Royce, but I've seen other clamps like this and these just feel a little bit cheap and nasty. I mean, they're made of metal, don't get me wrong, except for the handle obviously, but I just feel perhaps a little bit of an upgrade on the quality of that would make those clamps brilliant, and it'd also be something that they could sell externally to it. So the clamp, not a massive fan of, but in terms of everything else on the unit, I think it's absolutely brilliant. Now, I don't know what it would be like if you're doing a lot of sawing, because it's only 185 mil blade, isn't it? And I think that potentially may be an issue if you're doing sort of bigger, deeper cuts, but you saw how quickly and how easily it went through that worktop. So I don't think that would be an issue. So overall, I am hugely impressed. And I think what you'll see with all of the products that I use, if you see this in upcoming videos, you're going to see how much I like the product. I think you're going to see a lot of this in the future because it is equal to or better than my Parkside plunge saw, which I am in love with. Now, it won't be for everything, and obviously you're not going to get the quality of cuts all the time that you get with the Parkside saw because the blade is different, but I'm sure you can get a better blade that will give you a better quality cut. So overall, I would really recommend this product. And I'm not just saying that because they sent it to me for free. As I said at the beginning, I did say to them that I was going to be very, very honest, and there's a lot of things I like about this, but obviously a lot of things that, you know, I think potentially could be improved. Evolution very, very kindly sent me this unit for the review, and as I said at the beginning, this is a very honest review. If I didn't like the saw, I would tell you, and I've already pointed out a few bits of it that I think could be improved. But what Evolution also did, which is hugely kind of them, is they've set up a code for Garage Workshop subscribers. So if you are thinking of buying any Evolution power tool, whether it's the saw or the shop vac that I reviewed in a recent video, or anything at all from Evolution, anything at all from their website, if you use the code GARAGE here on the screen, and I'll also put a link in the description, you can get 10% off any purchase. There's no limit on it, and I did check and I said, can it be anything on the website? And they said absolutely anything, and that code is good for a couple of years yet. Now, full disclosure, they did say that if you use my link, I would get an affiliate amount of money from it, a percentage, which I think is absolutely tiny, but of course it would help the channel immensely. So that code I think is also good in the US and in the UK, anywhere that you can buy Evolution on the website. So if you go to the website, when you come to checking out, there's a box saying, have you got a promotion code? If you put in the promotion code GARAGE, you'll get 10% off. And if you think this unit, I think, was $179.99, I think this unit was with the rails. Well, if you use the code GARAGE, you're going to automatically knock nearly 18 quid off, which in this current day and age is quite a lot of money. So again, use the code GARAGE for 10% off at the checkout. If this is the first time at the Garage Workshop, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it informative, and I hope somewhere along the line it might potentially give you some advice if you're thinking of buying a saw. If you are new, please subscribe, please like, please comment. It really helps the algorithm, and don't forget to hit the notification bell if you are a regular viewer. Another review, a 10-minute tool review. Hopefully you found it useful, and again, don't forget to like and comment. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and don't forget, fellow woodworkers, code GARAGE. Have a fantastic week, and I'll catch you on next week's edition of the Garage Workshop. Take care, everyone.